With the rebuild films, it's like, okay, well, you think you know what happens after End of Evangelion, because, there are a couple of things that you can sort of interpret as, this is what all this means. He's like, okay, well, I'm going to retell Evangelion. And the first two movies are fairly straightforward retellings of things that happen in the series with some new content. And hints that the films actually take place after End of Evangelion that I've talked about on Chainsaw Buffet before. But 3.0, and I'm going to try and explain this best I can without spoiling the film because I've seen a screening of it. It's not officially released, but Funimation has done screenings of it in the past. Is so bizarre and throws into question so many assumptions about what the new films mean, and really puts things on such a new level, and really removes the story from the context of the show thus far, that again, it's like there's one more movie in this series left, and I'm not sure how he's going to wrap it up. Like, I'm not sure if the overwhelming theory is that this last movie will be just as infuriating as all the others, but there's also that part of your brain that says he likes to do whatever people don't think he's going to do, so maybe he'll actually give you an ending.
It does seem like there's an ego caught up in this.
Very much so. It's
to where my approach would be to something, and this is a lot different from what I do daily with software, is that, if you didn't get what I wanted out of it, I failed to explain it properly, and I need to go back and figure out how I screwed up my explanation, Like, oh, you didn't get that. Oh, I see, this wasn't clear. I should have put this bit of dialogue in, or something like that. As opposed to getting, let's say, belligerent.
Right.
About you not getting it because, you're just dumb fans, or how can you not see what's right before you?
Well, I think that part of it is, since the show is about him, he wants it to be unknowable because we don't know him. But the problem is that doesn't keep us from ascribing meaning to it. So I kind of wonder if maybe there won't still be Evangelion in 10 years because he hasn't run out of things to say about what we're saying about it. And the reason that the death of the author I don't feel really applies to this is that it's still ongoing and the author is actively responding to the audience. It's more like performance art at this point. Because in this day and age, I feel like there are other works that do this, although I can't think of any specifically off the top of my head. And there will be more and more because of the age that we live in with Twitter and social media and the ability to, assholes like us can be broadcast to a very large audience should they choose to tune in. But I feel like we'll have more and more situations where the creator of content is responding to us as they are making said content, giving them a little bit more direct control in the interpretation. But I feel like that's kind of what Bayonetta is shooting for. It's shooting for something that is not knowable.
It could shoot for a little bit of better of a texture on that spider web. That was a little piss poor.
Yeah. And that water is kind of shitty looking too.
Welcome aboard, Cheshire.
Oh, fucking hell!
Mommy!
But I think Benny's just going for something that we can't possibly say anything about.
Well, and there's also the criticism too that an author can very easily set up a very good, intense, conspiratorial, tightly woven plot and not know how to get out of it themselves.
Yes.
And one option can just be the unknowable answer. It's like, oh, well, nobody knows what was going on.
Well, See, that's sort of a difference between Evangelion and shows that try to copy Evangelion.
Right, because they go in trying to copy the mechanics, but there actually is a vision behind Evangelion, or multiple ones, I guess is what you're saying.
Right, I kind of feel like...
Fasten your safety belts.
I didn't have it planned going into it, but what the TV series ending, what the original ending ended up being about, was about him and how he came to grips with himself, because that's what Shinji's story is about. But people misunderstood what Evangelion was about, so it continues to change and evolve based on people's misinterpretation of the work. Whereas other shows are like, oh, we're just gonna be mysterious. Well, it wasn't that Evangelion was necessarily intending to be mysterious or unknowable at the start. It was just people didn't get it.
Yeah.
And it's my favorite part of this game.
I'm just gonna still go with she is the mom. She is the witch that committed the atrocity. Atrocity of
having a mixed breed child.
Of having
I don't know what this says about race relations, by the way. I have some concerns.
I think Benny's just probably upset he can't call it a what is it, a muggle? No, yeah.
I don't know that muggle is the word you.
Is it muggle? What is the Harry Potter?
Okay, I was about to say, I thought you were going for some other term, but never mind.
Well, and it's interesting too that they went with muggle, because it was like, wow, that's on the nose there, Harry.
Right? But something you were talking about earlier.
Which the term that we're beating around the bush here is mulatto, and
yes,
I had to look that up pre-Google. When
considering your family situation, I think you can talk about
this is in 1992, when or no, maybe 93. I forget when Teen Spirit came out, but the last thing he says in that song is a mulatto, and I'm like, I don't know what the hell, what is that? And we don't have Google in 93. There's no Google in 93, 94. So I found that in a dictionary at the library, the school library.
You know,
and then I was like, since I'd never heard it before, or never heard it, it's hard to like prescribe any kind of taboo about the word. You know what I mean? It's like that just doesn't, like calling a woman a wench. I'm sure at some point was offensive, but now I use it. Yeah, now I use it as an endearing term.
Yes. I think if we can work, you know, Rei Ayanami is an albino. I think we need to work a mosquito and some libido into this.
So speaking of topics preloaded coming to the show,
you're really not going to like what comes next.
Since we're playing Bayonetta, and what is it,
Dragon's Crown! God bless that game! I cannot wait to play it.
It was... You've interviewed Erin, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Erin's been on the show.
And it was a little disappointing to me. I'm just going to give you the punchline right here. Like, she missed the difference between Dragon's Crown and, like, Skullgirls. You know? Like, okay, there's boob outrage. We talked about this early in the show on this one, right?
Yeah.
That's not a thing. You know, I mean, well, it is a thing you can be offended with, but it's no worse than having a lot of swears and fucks in your game. It's like, okay, that's what you're doing, and there's going to be certain people who don't want to have fuck every 20 seconds be said. But then again, like this,
yeah.
You know, the child makes it a little awkward at the moment, dude. Control yourself, know where you're at. But yeah, so the thing is that in the world of Skullgirls and the world of Bayonetta, the whole concept of sexism and feminism doesn't even exist, okay? There is no instance of... Are you getting ready to do a dance number? Was that like a... It looked like a mic just popped in, like a witch mic. Get a little witch headset and witch mic going in.
Okay. Why am I playing Afterburner?
Yeah, you're doing another mini game. But in these games, you know, like in Skullgirls, can you even play a guy? I'm not on the fighting games, but is there even a guy character?
There is going to be.
Okay, there's going to be a DLC guy. Right now, there's not even a guy.
Right.
So, in a world of no guys, you can't have sexism, okay? Right? Like, none of the girls are restricted from doing anything based on their gender, okay? Now, in Dragon's Crown, though, the playable characters are just girls with boobs, right?
Except for the elf.
Yeah, the elf. The elf is actually a decent...
The elf and the wizard are the normal-looking characters.
I would say
everyone else is outrageously
I
stylized.
would say that they should get a knock on it because they've done the classic thing of you ever play Dungeon oh crap, it's a multiplayer tower defense game. And me and my girls, we play it all the time.
The board game?
It's a PC game.
Then probably not.
And it's called Dungeon something. Anyway, so there's 4 playable characters in there, okay? One of which is female.
Okay.
You can play a monk, a wizard, a knight, and a ranger. Which one's female?
Probably the ranger.
Exactly, right? So, I could fault, in a game design perspective, in a conversation about game design,
Yeah.
I could fault the hell's the game called again? Dragon's Keep?
Dragon's Crown.
Dragon's Crown. Yeah. You guys aren't making this shit easy. I could fault Dragon's Crown with like a lazy design trope here of like, oh, yeah, there's a woman and she's the ring.
Well, there's also a woman spellcaster and a woman fighter.
Yeah.
So there's one of each of both sexes.
Oh really? So
Yes.
they're kind of like,
Yeah, there's the fighter.
are they parity equal or do they have like okay.
Yeah, they're all the classes are balanced.
I'll just say I've not played the game, and I probably won't play the game because
I'm gonna play the shit out of the game. I just can't do it right now because of
you're playing
yeah.
playing Afterburner right now.
Yeah.
And you have to ask yourself what choices in your life have you made that got you here. But
trust me, I regret lots of things. I would do a lot of things differently if I could. Like calling DCS.
Okay, but where Dragon's Crown goes wrong is all the NPC female characters.
Yes, I would agree with that.
And like the videos, the Let's Plays, and some of the screenshots, because at first when you see the screenshots, you're like, well, you know,
it
could be taken out of context, right? So I watched some of the Let's Plays, I'm like, no, it's not really taken out of context. So if you haven't seen these, you should really check this out on Dragon's Crown. In that, you know, there's all these, you're constantly saving these girls, they're constantly seductive poses, down to the point where like one of them is like when you're at the like title screen or conversation screen or whatever, she's like spread eagle.
Yes, I know which one you're
like,
talking about.
Right in your face.
Like she's got you barely don't even notice at first that she's got like a decapitated animal still attached to her leg from where it's bitter and it's.
Oh really?
Yeah,
I didn't. My eyes did not go to that focal point.
And it's one of those.
Maybe that rule of thirds thing didn't work there.
Right. It's unfortunately one of those things that is taking away from what I haven't played the game yet, but from everything I can see and tell, it looks like an incredible game. It's a game I very much want to play.
Well, and this takes nothing away from the gameplay and how enjoyable it may be. My issue usually stems from when a developer just doesn't own that's what they did. You know, like, no, that is what you did. Admit to it. It's pandering, and you're playing on a demographic and a trope. You're not going to get any Nobel Prizes for this here, right?
Right.
And, you know, you're going to get some flack on it.
I do think...
I think, unfortunately, the flack against the people who made a comment is still far worse the problem than the actual comments that they made. Like, I don't know if you read the Polygon review.
No.
So the Polygon review is kind of the one where everybody lost their shit on, because Polygon gave it a 6.5. And it was a female reviewer. She opened her review with, look, it's another boob game with tired tropes. Talks about the entire game, the length of her review, and then at the end, also mentioned that she got tired of having crosses in her face and things like that as well.
Right.
The entire review, though, like the bulk of the review is on, you gotta replay the same area a lot. I don't really feel like it's doing a whole lot for brawlers. It's kind of just sticking to tried and true formula, got repetitive, etc., etc., etc. Okay?
Yeah.
So she didn't, go into the review saying, oh, there's boobs, 6.5. She justified a 6.5. Now, you'll never know, right? Nobody will ever know if, she looked at it and went, boobs, 6.5, and now I'll write my review that way. But Polygon is one of the few sites that I actually will ascribe some integrity to. And, I'll leave it what it is. By the way, a review is an opinion.
Right.
And
there are plenty of positive reviews
there
on the game.
None of them diminish your ability to go buy and play the game.
No.
There was no, let's boycott or ban this game there.
And while I recognize that, the game does make you play through levels, it does change the levels significantly from what I've seen. And it looks like there are a lot of things that, okay.
A lot of people are enjoying it.
Yeah. I can see how she may not, and that's fine.
But of course, if you read the comments...
well... This gets into people on the internet.
Yeah. And unfortunately, that's really the problem of guys, every time you do that, every bit of discussion that we just had here of an intelligent, you gotta play more Afterburner.
I know.
Just weighing the pros and cons and what they're doing and all that, goes out the window as soon as it leaves any kind of gaming circle. Because anybody outside it is just going to see the comments and...
So, here's